And we are back. Game Plan U today, Mike Scharfenberg interview with influencers. And as always, thank you for spending part of your day with us. And, for those first-time viewers who haven't tuned in yet, this show features sport industry executives, veterans, scrappy vets, and gives them the platform to share their career story, valuable experience, and really just provide advice and insight to those looking to get into the industry or who may be in the industry who are just always looking to continue to grow and learn. So again, welcome back, episode 4, season 2. So let's get right down to business here. We got a very special guest with us today. So this woman's built quite the successful career for herself with 4 different stints with Major League Baseball teams, and really built up her career with the Boston Red Sox, and is now the manager of sales for the New York Islanders. So without further ado, let's give a big virtual round of applause to Rachel Shor. Rachel, how you doing?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Of course, doing well. And I know you and I have been, connecting back and forth and trying to get this on the books for a while. But, for the longest time there, you guys last few months have had a lot of exciting things happening down there in with the Isles. And, before we dive into you and your background, I'm sure the audience would love to hear a little bit about, what was that, last few months been, and with the return of fans, the playoff run and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. So this last year was very interesting for the Islanders' perspective. We're opening a brand new arena in November. So for us, we were able to really focus this last year on making UBS Arena a huge success, while also saying, okay, how can we bring fans back into the arena for the 2021 season safely? So thankfully in March, we were able to start allowing fans back in. New York State made it very interesting, where our protocols were able to change every week, which also helped allowing us to have more fans, but made us sort of have to think more on the fly of how to make sure to allow our fans to get in safely, and to make sure we are able to really make sure our season ticket members who purchase for UBS Arena were able to get first access, to kind of create that huge benefit of UBS Arena while also getting access to the 21-22 season. So playoffs helped, return to fans helped, and we did really well, which helped us sell out our full season seats at UBS Arena, which is a huge success. The team's doing really well, with almost sold out of our partial plans, about 80% sold out of our premium club seats. And then the next sort of venture will be our group seats in single games. So, definitely the last few months with playoffs and return to fans have helped made UBS Arena a success. But I would say my experience and my reps experience, or our reps experience, was very different this last year, because we could really just focus on that arena.
So much positive momentum with the team, the organization. There's so much positive there. And I think you said it, like, a lot of people when all this started were down, right, and were negative. But from the beginning, I said, like, you just got to stay positive and keep going, and we're going to come out of it stronger. And I think that's just a prime example with what you guys have going on there. And so let's take a step back, and for those who don't know, like, tell us a little bit about you, your background, and walk us kind of through that career journey that got you where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in Virginia, Richmond to be exact. And I always knew that I wanted to work in sports. I played sports, and I love the business aspects. When I heard about sports management, I was like, amazing. I can bring business to the forefront while also bringing my passion of sports, which landed me at the University of Tampa, where I got my sports management degree, which was awesome to be able to go there and be right near the Lightning, the Rays, spring training facilities. You have the Bucks right there. So I was able to really get a lot of firsthand experience with professional as well as minor league teams. So throughout college, I worked for the Rays in their box office. I worked for a spring training team in their box office. I did a lot of internships with Woodbat collegiate leagues and the minor league team actually in Richmond, and really just any experience I could get to really find out what I liked and why I wanted to be in sports and make sure this is the sort of career path that I wanted to do. From there, I was able to actually land a inside sales position with the St. Louis Cardinals. So I was there for the 2013 season and start of the 2014 season. I then, in the 2014 season, went over to the Boston Red Sox and was there for 6 seasons. and then made my way over to hockey in June of 2019 and have been here for 2 full seasons with us.
What a journey that was. And I know we're going to kind of get into, because that's a lot of jumping around. I know with, the Blue Jays and the Rays and the Cardinals and being from Virginia. So I know we want to get into that a little bit later, but can you speak to the importance? I know as you're looking to bring on new reps to the team, like speak to that, how important it is to have that real world experience and how that helped shape your career.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing that I always tell people is sports, I think it's really cool. It's a very sexy job. But at the end of the day, it is a desk. It is a phone. It has its downfalls, sports in general do. I mean, you're working long hours. I actually jokingly was texting with my family when we got our schedule for the 21-22 season. It was like, all right, I'm not going to be home for Thanksgiving. I'm not going to be home for Christmas. New Year's will be interesting. So texting with my friends on saying if they want to come to New York. But because we're very back heavy on our schedule just with the new arena, I'm going to have to spend some holidays away from my family. And so I think what's really important is for anyone looking to get in the industry is to understand what they might have to give up to be in an industry and to be in a position that they love to do. And it's not for everyone. And I think that's why it's really important to get the real life experience, is to understand sort of the grit that you have to have in order to be successful in the industry, but also understand what you have to give up sometimes to really make it. And you're not the one sitting and watching the game. I hate to say it, but I probably watched all of 5 minutes of our playoff run this year because I was chatting with clients and making sure the fans were okay, that when I had a moment to breathe, candidly, I wasn't going in to watch the game. I was going to, drink some water, grab some food real quick before I got back at it. And so it's understanding you're not a fan every game, you're working every game, which I think is hard to separate when you're, when you're looking from the outside in.
Oh, spot on. And, it is sports, right? At the end of the day, you're working in sports, but you're right. It's a business, right? And as you grow in your career, it's not just B2C, working with fans, but it's going to be B2B. And a business doesn't care about, how many yards Ryan Tannehill throws for or how many goals someone scores. Like, they're going to care about this is a business tool. What's the ROI here, right? And it's really, the hangover ends, right? Like, you get into sports, you're in inside sales, it's awesome. But if you're not about the grind and really embrace it, it's going to end and lose its appeal. So you really got to ask yourself, how important is it in working in the industry?
Yeah. And I think that's a really great point. I mean, I have conversations with friends who have been in the industry for a really long time, or even have been only in the industry for a year. It's having them understand it's okay to walk away. It doesn't mean you didn't make it. It just means your priorities changed. And so understanding what your priorities are in that moment may be different a year from now or 2 years from now. I at this moment in time, never see myself leaving sports, but priorities could change 5 years from now, and maybe they will, maybe they won't, who knows, but it's okay if they will. And you can accept like, hey, I had a lot of fun and let me now move on to something else and get a different experience.
Spot on. And I know in terms of specifically what we do for our careers, right? Like, we are on the sales side. So we're generating revenue, creating opportunity at scale. So kind of a 2-part question here. So first and foremost, like, why sales for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't want to get into sales at all. I was like, great, I'm going to work in the box office. That is sales. I'm done. I'm moving on to something else. What I realized, though, is that sales isn't selling something or selling a ticket to a game to someone that doesn't want to come. It is bringing people in and really showing them the value of coming to more games. It's showing them the value of, being the bigger picture and being the ticket guy or gal. And so for me, I realized that I can really make or break someone's experience or change someone's opinion of the team or their experience of a game before they've entered the game or after they've entered the game. And I think that's what the most important thing about at least our sales process is. You have people that are always going to say yes, and you're not selling to those people. Those people are already buying, they're already season ticket members. We are trying to take the no to yes, and we're trying to take the maybe to yes. And so it's really understanding, if someone's a no, great, walk away. If someone's a maybe, put them in that no pile or put them in that yes pile. And so it's really trying to understand their needs and show them what we can bring to the table, and it's not for everyone. And so I think that's what people don't understand, at least about, in college, thankfully they're starting to bring more sales classes into the curriculum. But like at the end of the day, when I was in school, we didn't really have it. We had one class, and we read a book and we learned about it a little bit, but I didn't truly understand what I was getting into until my first inside sales class, my first inside sales program. And I really learned like, okay, I'm not trying to sell something to someone that doesn't want it. I'm trying to, someone that touched our product in some way, that's who I'm calling, and who's already a fan. I'm just trying to show them the value and the benefit of buying what I have to sell.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like, sales is practical. You're only going to get better with experience. You can't, reading a textbook isn't going to generate revenue, right? It's just not going to teach you how to build genuine relationship with somebody. Right. And I think one of the things you said there that I know when we did our panel together at Newman a few months ago, you said the second best answer to yes is no. Like, I think you want to talk about that a little bit, and, for young reps, a common mistake that they make.
Yeah. If someone says no, that is amazing. As much as it sucks, you lose them, and you move on with your day. The maybe is those people that really just want someone from the Islanders to call them because it makes them feel cool. And so they can string you on for months when they're not really a true buyer. And I joke with my reps in our one-on-one when I'm like, this person has been sitting in your pipeline for months. How many emails have you sent them? How many calls have you sent them? How many different products have you put in front of them that they just haven't answered? I'm like, it hurts, but walk away, because the best thing you can do is show value in your product and walk away. And so when you're not getting an answer, when you're getting that maybe, you're doing yourself a disservice by not challenging the person in a very respectful way. There's great ways to do it, but challenging that client and saying like, hey, I'm here to help you. If this is not for you, it's okay. And a lot of different trainers or programs teach you to get your client to say yes. So by giving them the opportunity to say, hey, this may not be for you, you're giving them the opportunity to say yes, which is a lot easier to say than no. And in that instance, they're really saying no, and you can move on, but you're getting an answer one way or another, where that maybe is you're not getting an answer at all.
Yeah, you're just stuck in the middle. And, you just, at the end of the day, you close the closables. That's all. That's your job, right? And I think in terms of that, kind of leads great into the next topic here. In terms of like specific skills, like, you've obviously made a very successful career in a very quick amount of time. So, what were some of the attributes or skills that you feel kind of helped you propel your career so quickly?
Yeah, absolutely. I think positivity is really important. People want to be around people that they enjoy working with. Some of the stuff that we do is teachable, so coachable is really important. But if you're coachable and negative, then no one's going to want to be around you. If you're coachable and have a positive attitude, then it's super important. And some people want to be around you, and you're showing like, hey, I have pride in what I'm doing, and I'm understanding it, and I just have this like positive attitude around it. I also think what's really important, and I would say a lot of people nowadays don't understand this, is sometimes you have to do the job without having the title of the job. And so it's okay to take on that extra work, because it shows, that you're willing to do it, and that you can do it, and that you could step up to that next level, and that you're just not doing what's asked of you, you're going that step further. There is a sort of a balance of it. You want to be able to show your worth and get credit for it. But at the end of the day, you need to show them that you have that internal drive and that you want more. The biggest thing that I tell people when I interview them is, don't tell me you want this job. Tell me how this job can get you to where you want to go. And so I think, that right there is saying, okay, I have this job. How do I continue to show my employers and my manager every day where I want to go? And being able to vocalize that in a professional, respectful manner is really important. And I also think what's really important is to surround yourself with leaders and individuals in the organization that align with your values and ethics. Don't go chasing titles and name brands. And I'm very fortunate that I have worked for organizations that are big name brands. But what I love about them is not that it was the Red Sox or the Cardinals or that it's the Islanders. I love that it's the people there. And I can name, and I still have really great relationships with those individuals. And I would go back to those organizations again, not because of the name, but because of the people. And if you surround yourself with really good people who respect you and value you, then you're going to see amazing things with your career. And one of my managers at one of my first stops told me, like, hey, you're applying for jobs now, but your next job, like, they're going to come to you. And I was like, no, they're not. Like, I'm always going to be applying. And he was like, no, they're going to come to you because of who you surround yourself and that work ethic that you have. And it was true. Like, I haven't really applied for a job since. And that happens in sports. After your first or second job, people come to you with positions.
I mean, so much to unpack there. You know, like one of my core beliefs, you are who you surround yourself with. And you become that, right? So if you're around, like you said, positive people that want to build you up, that's what you're going to become. And I think, you know, a great point you made there. And I was actually speaking to a student last week, and he, you know, he's going through where he's applying, and it was all big name teams, and that's great. And I said, but you know, you don't have much experience. Why not look to the minor league team in your hometown? And they were like, well, no, I want the brand. And so I think you hit a great point there. And my whole point to him was, it's the leadership. It's how much you're going to learn, right? Mm-hmm. So can you speak to that a little bit as a hiring manager? Like, how important is the brand when you're looking to determine who's going to join the team?
Yeah. So I think it's really important to be a fan of the sport and to be knowledgeable. You don't need to be the super fan, but you also need to be knowledgeable in what's happening. Especially if you're selling or talking to clients, like, you need to know a little bit about the trades that are happening or the players you might lose, or even what a player leaving and what it means for the salary cap, just so you can kind of speak to it and be educated. But at the end of the day, I mean, you hit on it, like, you really want to look at, like, what have they done for their employees? What type of leadership, you know, do they give? Do you mesh with them? It's not so much, you know, the brand. And at the end of the day, like, the hiring managers aren't going to hire the super fan. They're going to hire someone that's going to be able to come in and work really hard. It sucks. And like, when we lost Game 7, it sucked. And thankfully it was a Friday. Yeah, it was a Friday. And so our reps had the weekend to kind of decompress. But Monday, they needed to come back and they needed to be able to put a positive spin on this. And we had a really great season. We have a really bright future ahead of us. There's a lot of positive things that we can give. But if it was a Monday, they would have needed to done that on a Tuesday. And so if you're the super fan, you're not going to be able to shake it off and move on and understand this is a business. And you're going to have to put that positive spin in it. It's really hard. And so it's great to work for a team that you love, and to work in a sort of field that you love, but you also have to take a step back and understand that it is a business, and everyone in sports knows each other, whether you're in the minor leagues, or the majors, or even in a sport that's not one of the big four. Like, people will know them, and just because it's your first stop doesn't mean it's your last stop. And if you look at, I would say 90% of the sports professionals, they are not with this team that they started with. And I think a lot of that has to do with, you know, people knowing each other and stuff. And so when you do limit yourself to the big names, you're limiting yourself on jobs and the opportunity to at least get your break.
Yeah, no, spot on. And I think kind of pivoting now to, we hit on it a little bit earlier, but I'd love to kind of dive in a little bit deeper because I think it's so important. And that's, you know, coming out of your comfort zone, right? And being willing to, you know, exit that little bubble, right? And obviously, like we said, you've done that with your career, having, you know, willing to move to different places, right? And maybe not knowing anyone at a certain place. Like, so speak to how important that is to be able to come out of your comfort zone.
Absolutely. I mean, in sales, and then I also use it in my personal life, in order to be comfortable, you have to be uncomfortable. And in order to get to where you want, you might have to do things that are uncomfortable. Listen, moving to a new city is not easy at all. I'm very fortunate that when I lived in St. Louis, you know, one of my sorority sisters happened to be from there, and I lived with her, but I didn't know anyone else. When I moved to Boston, I was very fortunate that I had some friends from college that, you know, I was really good friends with that lived in the area. But again, they lived in the outskirts. And so I was fortunate to have a little bit of comfort and familiarity with retrospect to people in the cities that I lived in. But you do have to put yourself out there. And it is really challenging to go somewhere, start a new job, having to put yourself out there. But it's also really rewarding to see yourself succeed and say, all right, like, I'm coming in, and candidly, after a year, you're able to say, okay, like, I know where to go. I know, For me, like I volunteer in a lot of the places that I live. And so I'm able to find the places I like to volunteer. And then I'm able to meet people, that have common interests. And then sports is like a family. So at the end of the day, like the people you work with become the people that you potentially hang out with outside of work and become your support system. It's not for everyone, but I have found that if you do want to progress your career and maybe progress your career a little bit quicker, the availability to move to different cities definitely opens it up. For example, like if you're living in St. Louis, you have one team and they have the soccer team coming in. So you have two teams. They did have three, but they lost the Rams. So you're really limiting yourself on the potential teams if you want to be on the team side that you can work with. If you open up to colleges, then yes, you have more opportunities, but you have to start thinking about if I limit myself to one area or one team or even one league, you're limiting yourself on job potentials. And so again, it's not for everyone. It's okay to say no to certain areas or even positions, but you really do need to, I think, open yourself up to different leagues, teams, possibilities, as well as cities, and be open to move around to really be able to fully see what's out there in this industry.
Yeah, and I mean, most of the best growth happens right when you exit your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just doing the same thing day after day where you're comfortable, you're never going to know what if, right? Like you can always move back. I know one of my mentors said this, you can always move back, but you get that opportunity back that you left on the table.
Yeah. I always tell people like nothing is forever. I go, give it a year because it does take about a year to sort of get comfortable and get familiar with things. Don't give up on yourself. Give it a year, but nothing is forever. And that's the most important thing to remember.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's a great point there. Obviously, coming out of your comfort zone, a critical trait in business and in life. And, in terms of things that you look for and traits that you look for, right? When you're looking to bring on a new team member, what are some of those things that, that check the box, like, oh, this one's got it, that you look for?
Yeah, I think it's how they really hold themselves and how they talk about their past experiences. For me, when I'm hiring right now, I'm really hiring someone that has like 5+ years experiences. So I'm looking to see, are they coachable? Are they going to be able to come in and add value to our team? Are they going to be able to take, some experience they've had in the past and bring it to be able to like relate it to our organization? And do they have proven success? And again, it kind of also goes back to, I'm asking colleagues that I know, or even friends of friends, what the reputation is, because reputation is really important. And you want to surround yourself with good people and good, positive people. And in sports, if I don't know you, I know someone that does know you. And so it's really important to make sure you have yourself a good reputation. So, I would say like traits that I really look for, especially on a more senior level, is just coachability, because sales is constantly learning. And so if you're going to come in and say, this is the way I'm going to do it, then great. You might be successful for a month, but are you going to be successful long-term? And I think that's the biggest thing that I learned over this last year with selling during COVID, is the more senior reps that were flexible and that were able to bring insight and for us to talk through different strategies, were the ones that really were successful once we had a product to sell.
Yeah, you need to always be willing to learn, like wherever you get, like however high up you get, you be willing to ask questions, be curious, right? I know our president here with the Titans goes out of his way each quarter to meet with every employee in the front office and just 30 minutes, ask me questions and brainstorm ways for him to get better. And I mean, that's as high as you can get in the organization. And that just goes to show you always need to be asking questions, always ask why, always be looking to better yourself. And, I think that kind of leads into the last few questions here. And something that's very important. I know the industry, when this podcast started, it was right in the heart of the pandemic, and there was not a lot of jobs, if any. I think there were a couple organizations out there still hiring. I still don't understand how they were, but in terms of now the industry is opening up, right? And there's a lot of jobs out there, specifically in sales. Like, what are some of the things you would recommend to, a young professional looking to get into the industry that they could do today to separate themselves, whether it's getting an interview or getting hired?
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, like know your worth. Go out there, do research on organizations, understand how they treat their employees, understand, especially in sales what the compensation, looks like, and understand the value that you bring to the table. And I think that's the biggest thing you can do is just do a lot of research on the organization because there is a lot of information out there, especially with the, Glassdoor, all that stuff. Like people can put stuff anonymously, and so they are very truthful in the organizations that they work for or they had worked for. In regards to like really separating yourself is show how you have grown over the last year. Even if you didn't have a job, what did you do to better yourself? What did you do? Maybe if it wasn't in the sports world, like did you take sales classes or were you in a position that you could sell? And a lot of it really has to do with like, if you say, oh, like I was just, an Uber driver, or I was just, doing Uber Eats, and you talk really negative about it, like that's not great. But it's like, hey, I needed to bring money. I was really excited about this opportunity. The reason why I did this, because it gave me the flexibility to get here so I could also take these classes so I could continue to learn. So it's really how you, again, sales is all about how you position things. So if you didn't have a job, be really good at positioning what you did during the last 9 months, 6 months, 3 months. And then also if you do have a job and you see an opportunity that you just think will help you and that you're going to go for, really show why you're leaving and how you can bring value to that organization. Because as much as they're interviewing you, you're interviewing them as well. And so you need to have sort of this mutual agreed upon thing of like, I'm coming to the table and these are the core values that I can bring. These are the skill sets that I'm going to bring that I think are really important.
Yeah, I mean, don't be the victim of your circumstance, right? You got to be the author. Like you get knocked down, stay down, or you can get back up and make the most of it and figure it out. I think, like you said, the Uber driving example, I love that. And you said it's how you present things, right? I had to make money. I was an Uber driver, but I was able to improve my conversation skills, right, and be able to develop that. So everything you do in life, you can position and learn, and the transferable skills are always linking up there.
Yeah. And it shows that you're able to do anything to get the job done. I think that's the most important thing. Like there's no job above anyone. I mean, our VP and SVP were outside handing out masks to fans who forgot masks. Like there is no job above anyone. We 5 minutes before the arena, opened on one of the games, we had to go around and some t-shirts were not on the seats and whatever. And again, like our VP of our ownership group was doing that as well. And so there's no job above anyone. Like there's nothing wrong with being an Uber driver, even if it's a part-time job or if it's a full-time job. But again, it's how you position it and say, okay, like what did I do and to get the other job that I really wanted.
Yeah, it's 100%. I know same here where we have, our owners out and our president's out when there was the tornado in East Nashville. Like they're out there in the community doing things, right? And those are the people, going back to your point of like choosing the right organization. That's what some of the qualities you want to look for. And, I think, we're running up against the clock here. And I hope everybody's hands are sore by this point. You're taking a lot of notes out there, so much insightful information to unpack. And I always like to end on this question. I know it's tough. So I always like to say, if you want to give 2, you could do 2. But if you were to go back in time and you're just getting out of college, starting your career, like what are 1 or 2 pieces of advice that you would give yourself?
Yeah. Have fun. At the end of the day, we're in sports. Like, don't take yourself too seriously. I think there were times where I always thought about, okay, how is this going to help me position? Or, I don't want, to make myself look bad. But at the end of the day, like we're in sports, like have fun, laugh about it. You make mistakes. Like don't take yourself too seriously. I think that can help in any facet of life, but especially our organization. People want to be around good people. And so, carry yourself with professionalism, but have fun. I think that's probably what I would say to my younger self is just loosen up a little bit and have some fun.
You're spot on. And I know me personally, like you can get that tunnel vision, right? Sometimes of like, let's grind. But at the end of the day, you got to remind yourself, right? Like you said, we're in sports. Like, enjoy it, right? And if you're just grinding, you're going to burn out.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. So, what an insightful episode here. Thank you so much for jumping on. And I know, many individuals out there watching, and you've been very open to me building our relationship. So, for those out there, students, career seekers that are looking to connect with you, what is the best avenue for that?
Yeah, absolutely. Find me on LinkedIn, Rachel Shor. You see it on there. Send me a message. I'm always happy to set up time, to chat with anyone looking to get in the industry or make a career move or anything. I know I didn't really know anyone getting into the industry, and so having sort of just someone to bounce ideas off, I think, is really important. And I'm always here to help anyone.
Love to hear it. And I asked one thing. I think we mentioned before, I am an East Coast guy. So when the Isles make the Cup next year, I expect just even one ticket, standing room only, whatever it is, I'll be there.
I got you. And yeah, we're definitely going to make the Cup. 3 years in a row, we made to the Eastern Conference Finals. We're making to the Cup this year. We have to.
You got it. Good things come to those who wait. And
yeah,
again, thank you so much for the time. And don't be a stranger. You're welcome back anytime.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Awesome. Take care, everybody.